I am not late. It went online at exactly 50. Give or take a few seconds. Tripping curse? What the hell is a tripping curse? Happy birthday to you as well, gaming. Huzzah! Actually, this is a massive can. What's up, baby? How's things going today? I'm already being harassed by chat because I'm like 2 minutes early. If I'm late, they're harassing me. If I'm on time, they're harassing me. I don't know what to do anymore. Yeah, I don't see that going anywhere, Clark. I'm not 5 minutes late. I am never late. Your guys' times are just too fast. That's not gonna go anywhere. That's wishful thinking with them trying that sort of stuff. But you know, can't blame them for trying. Right? Cannot blame them for trying. Do you know that should move a little to the left? That's better. My OCD was being triggered. So how have we been, chat? How have we been? There's been a decent amount of news happening this week. In a weird way, that probably makes sense, Powerboss. Hey, evening, Diablo. Did you hear the logician? When Microsoft buys studios, it's terrible. But when Sony does it, it's amazing. My dude lives on double standards. Oh, Devin, no. Do I think FSR AI upscaling? I don't know if... so, the Series X does have some T-tops for AI upscaling. I don't think it's got enough. I think it's going to be a hybrid. I don't think it's going to be full AI, but let's be real. That AI upscaling isn't really working for Sony right now, is it? Do you know what, Bags? That kind of makes sense. I mean, if you're looking at like a lot of their games at the moment, we're going to get into that later on in the stream, but a lot of their games just aren't performing well with their AI upscaler. Stalker 2, at launch, it was, the first 4 hours was great, then it turned into a buggy mess. Since the new patch, I'm still being shot occasionally through walls, but other than that, it's in a really, really good place. Even the performance on the Series X has improved greatly. Like, there's been a big leap in just overall performance and stability. So this new patch that they've done, the one with like over 650, 700 fixes, has, you know, done a lot of good. Thank you. I think one more patch, maybe 2 more patches, and I reckon it's pretty much there. It's pretty much where you wanted it to be at launch. But you know what? Despite all the problems and despite all the issues, and despite me rage quitting number of times, I haven't really rage quit in a game in a long time. Not even, you know, Lies of P made me rage quit. The zone keeps calling me back. I don't know what it is. It irritates me that there's no fast travel. It irritates me that there's no way of speeding up your travel. The encumber system is the worst I've seen in any game, bar none. And yet, I still find myself going back. That's just, it's either the zone or it's something else. I don't know, but I'm just drawn back to that game. I think an 8 out of 10 is reasonable. I think 7.5, 8 out of 10 is fine. But have we all seen the Indiana Jones trailer? Hey, Zroggle. Nothing much, pal. He just kept on going. Basically, he was saying how he tried to justify in his own twisted way how it's okay when Sony buys studios, but when Embracer, Tencent, or Microsoft buys it, it's bad. You know. Is there something going on with Senran Kagura, by the way? For those of you that know about that game, I am seeing a lot of posts about Senran Kagura today. I don't know why. I know it used to be Sony used to publish that game for a while until they decided that they didn't want to show any boobies and stuff, so they said, no, we can't have this anymore. They're too bouncy. Senran Kagura. I hadn't never really saw that game for a while, but it's been on my social feed for a little bit now today. E-ranks, I feel the same. There are issues still, but the zone is so addictive. It just feels good. Like I met this dude, I forgot his name now, Varen, and they wanted me to go and take out one of the two people, and I looked at the map and I was like, man, you want me to run all the way over there? And I just turned around, shot his two henchmen and shot him in the face, and just took the key and got the information for Nesta. I was like, man, I ain't running all the way over there. The game forced me. I didn't even want to kill him. But the game was like, yeah, you gotta run all the way over there. I was like, nah, bro. Not happening. It's not happening. I just shot him in the face. It was run for with encumbrance for 10 minutes, and I was like, nope. Sorry, buddy. I love Starfield. Anime compilations? You need help with Genshin Impact? Well, let me know what you need and I will try and help you. I'm not the most clued up, but I've been playing it on and off since launch. Oh, it was around, yeah. I just shot him in the face. He just came running for me, and I had my shotgun pointed directly at his face. He went down real quick. It was... I wouldn't... Why does everyone hate Starfield? It is such a good game. I mean, it isn't the game you wanted it to be. Is this a 5090 rig? My PC? No, my PC is a 3090 Ti. Oh, by the way, chat, I think I figured out why my PC has been acting up as well. It's It comes down to a little bit of me being a dodo. No one clipped that. It turns out the minimum recommended for a 3090 Ti is a 850 watt, and that's with like almost nothing plugged into it, nothing extra, just the motherboard, RAM stick, and you know, the basic necessities. And then I checked out my power supply. It's an 850. I'm like, so maybe that's what's wrong. So I'm gonna go and buy a better. I'm gonna go buy a 1200 watt PSU. That should fix all my power. I'm assuming when I'm trying to stream at the same time on the higher graphical settings and it's kind of crapping out with the camera and everything, I'm assuming it's hitting a bottleneck with the the PSU. I had the 3090 Ti gifted to me, right? So I didn't know. I just plugged it in and off I went. I didn't really check the specification. Perfect Dark? I'm honestly not sure. This was rumored to be coming next year, but it looks like it's unknown if it's coming next year. But yeah, the 3090 is a very powerful. But the good thing is the 4090 and probably the 5090 will be within the range for a 1200 PSU. So once I pick up that 1200, I'll be sorted. I'll be future proofed. Uh, 850 was from Nvidia's own recommended. Perfect Dark is 2026, right? You see, I don't even want to talk about games that are in 26 when we're not even out of 24 yet. It just doesn't make sense to me. That's the one thing I really like about Nintendo. They generally just talk about games that are coming out within the next 6 months, or they're very imminently coming out. I mean, look, guys, don't you remember the old E3s when everything used to be smokes and mirrors? Everything was held together with duct tape. I remember when I was working at Sega and we were preparing some demo stuff. Man, that shit was held by duct tape and everything, man. Super glued that thing together to make sure nothing broke. Everything had to be scripted. It's just the way it is. Those trailers, 9 out of 10 are always just not what you're getting. I mean, don't you remember the original Stalker 2 trailer and how good it looked? Let me put it on. Not that one. Yeah, this one. Let me just stop this. If we switch over here, I mean, if you remember this trailer, this was the original Stalker 2 trailer, right? This is what made everyone go mental. We ain't getting this, boys. This was smokes and mirrors. But that, I mean, trailers from E3 and the Game Awards, especially games that are so far out, just don't take what they're showing as gospel. Remember Anthem? Same thing. Hey, look, I'm sure there wasn't there like 6 people that bought Dustborn? I know they were happy. Hey, I loved Anthem. Anthem was awesome. It might be making a comeback. They might be rebooting it, which I'm really happy. I mean, just look at that graphically. I don't even think a 4090 can do that. This was just out of the world. That was Devin all 6 scorpions. Steve, what isn't working for you?
Не первый год в зоне, вроде примелькалась уже, а каждый день удивляет.
Hey, John.
Зона надоесть не может.
I mean, I wish we had games looking like this. The level to detail on this is insane. No, no music because I'm gonna get demonetized. But yeah, this is insane. Like graphically, this is what they promised you at the time.
О, месье, прошу прощения. Может, вам к ученой? Профессура. Они вам лабораторию найдут.
Oh, it is a very good game. It's very, very good. The latest patch fixed a lot. I just wish they released it with that patch and not with the way it came out.
Да пошел ты. Зря ты так с друзьями. Ты же его на вылазки таскаешь.
Чего-чего?
I mean, this almost looks on the level of ID software, right? Like the Doom games.
Это верно.
Он мучился?
Нет.
Это хорошо. Он этого не заслужил.
А пулю заслужил. Жаль, что ты так с ним поступил.
Мне тоже. Считаешь, я не думал, как обойтись без его смерти? Она не могла быть свободна, пока он жил. Зато теперь посмотри на нее.
It's like at this
Нет,
level.
Скиф. Я не отдам ее никому. Зона дала мне жизнь. Новую жизнь. Жизнь, которую я готов вернуть, если потребуется. Я буду защищать ее. Всегда.
I haven't seen that gun yet. And I haven't seen this area yet. Is this even in the game?
Охренеть.
Похоже, пора.
И куда ты теперь?
В Припять. Нужно с ним поговорить.
Do you know what? I finally disabled all HDR from my Xbox, my
Точная
PS5.
охота. Stalker.
Games look so much better without HDR. Even the colors look better. Hey, Byron. But yeah, that's what we were promised. We didn't get it, but it's what we were promised. My TV does support HDR. It supports HDR10. I still don't like it. I mean, this new monitor I'm using at the moment, this portable one, 3K resolution, it's got HDR support, and I still don't like it. This monitor that I'm using here on my left is an OLED. My main TV isn't, but even on the OLED, I didn't like it. Oh god, that's better. Once I disabled it, the colors just looked nicer. It might need a lot of calibration. I just can't be bothered. So off it went, and my colors look better, and everything looked better. Much, much better thing to do. Oh god, don't start with that, Devin. I've already had enough trouble with that this week. The Pony Gang was after me. It was so weird. They were after me like crazy, and they were proving that what I was saying was correct. With their arguments, they were proving that I was right, and they were still trying to take that as a win. Who does that? Like, who does that? Who actually comes at you proving that you're correct in what you're saying, and then take that as a win, where in their mind, what they're presenting says something different? It was a interesting couple of days. But it's just so weird. But even Concord, did any of you ever hear me turn, like, openly, right? Did any of you hear me say, I hope the studio closes? Did anyone ever hear me say that? I know that's totally going to get clipped out of context now, and that James guy is going to cut it right there and paste it everywhere, because that's the sad piece of shit that he is. But did anyone ever see me ever actually say that? Yeah, Klopper, it just gives you a much nicer picture. Whether they deserve it or not, I'm of the camp that, you know, especially in the games industry, the working conditions suck as it is. So wanting people to lose their jobs is not it. Now, have I trolled about Concord? Yes. Have I trolled about other stuff? Yes. But it's always come after the fact that it's happened. I've never actually actively wanted any studio to close, no matter who it is. And so they came at me saying, you know, when the PS5 Pro price dropped in the UK by £40 in 4 days, and I said even Concord lasted longer, and they're bringing that at me. And then, I mean, you know, these guys, Extreme, J-Dub, and Puerto Rock are in a podcast, and they're praying for studios to close because they release their games on PC and Switch. We ain't the same, man. I don't do that shit. I do not do that. If you don't play on PlayStation, you're not a gamer. Such a weird take. But don't worry about it, gaming. Extreme was comparing the whole relationship to like a girlfriend, where they felt like it was cheating on them, and that they don't want the studio, and they want to kick it to the curb and let them die. No, Bags, you're missing the point. Actions have consequences. I agree, and the next topic we're going to get into, there's a whole lot of that. But the point I'm making is, at no point did I come out and say I want X studio to die. I need to update this reel. But, you've been talking about Dustborn so much, Bags. It needed to happen. It needed to. But it looks like these are the next games coming along. Indiana Jones, I'm hoping, is going to do well. I'm predicting, give or take, somewhere between an 80 and an 85 Metacritic. Avowed, we're going to talk about in a minute, but this game is screwed. And it is screwed before it even leaves the door. Apparently, having a black woman playing in this game means that it's woke. Don't ask. Doom is going to do well because it's releasing day and date on PlayStation. Fable, again, apparently it's woke because you've got a female character. But, and according to Jez, there's more coming. Obviously, this doesn't include Call of Duty, the next Starfield expansion that's going to launch probably around September. We may see another Diablo expansion that's also going to land around October. So those are also going to land. Whether they're going to release another annual Microsoft Flight Simulator, that will probably land as well around that time. But it's just interesting, right? I mean, we just don't know anything about it for Fable, to be fair. Everyone just going by assumptions. But it should be good. South of Midnight looks really cool. They're starting to drip feed that media, which is pretty sweet. As you can see here, drip feeding that media now. Stop motion animation can be turned off, which is awesome. I'm actually really happy that you can turn it off. It won't be turned off in the cutscenes, but at least in the main game you can turn it off for those that don't want it, and I appreciate that. Cutscenes are fine. If they want to have it in the cutscenes, that's not a problem. And I don't have a problem with a 12-hour game. I think that's okay. What's mid about it, Bags? I mean, we've seen some gameplay now. Well, more gameplay. As they released more. So they're starting to drip feed this now a little bit more.
Sure, yep. Fighting comic book monsters now. What next?
The dialogue leaves a little to be desired. But the sound effects are quite nice. And the art style looks really nice as well. It does remind me a lot of Kenna, Bridge of Spirits, which was a really good game. Yeah, that's what I was referring to, Powerboss. But the fact that they actually wanted studios to close as well. You thought Concord? You bought Crackdown 1 and 2? Do you know what, Steve? That's my kind of enemy. Don't give it a chance to fight. It's stunned. She didn't give it a chance to. She didn't give it a chance to react. She hit it so hard. Riveting. Devin wants a refund for the 4 copies of Concord he bought. Yeah, he called me Mother Teresa. Do you know what? The guy's a vet. And he's sitting there as a vet and allowing that sort of conversation to happen on his podcast. Guy should be ashamed of himself. Guy's a disgrace. He should be ashamed of himself. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. I never to this day have wanted a studio to close. And never will want a studio to close. Now, I'm only briefly going to touch this because I'm sure a lot of you have, seen this and talked about it to hell and back already. So, I'm not going to go too deep into this. But in my opinion, when it comes to this guy, this dev needs to go, right? This dude, he needs to go. I'm not going to go too deep into this, like I said, because I've seen multiple podcasts talking about this already, so it's been done, dusted, and I'm, just going to briefly touch on it and then move on. But he needs to go because he is, single-handedly killing Avowed. He is killing Avowed, and he is not going to, him staying in there is going to destroy, in my opinion, it's going to cost the game millions. It's going to cost the game millions. Now, I know some people are saying that they should make it, they should quietly let him go so it doesn't become a martyr. I think they need to make a public spectacle of it. Personally, that's my opinion. It needs to be a public spectacle so the next idiot that comes along that wants to actually do what he's doing will realize that it's not going to be tolerated. If you have your company's bio in your signature on your social account, you are representing that company. End of story. And he is representing Obsidian and by way representing Microsoft. So this actually looks even worse for Microsoft. Right? This looks screw this guy. This now, if Microsoft doesn't act on this, this looks worse on them. So, I think, he has to go. And I think, he needs to be made an example of. They need to make this as loud as possible so everyone can see that this sort of shit is no longer tolerated in the games industry, because for far too long, this shit has gone on and people can just say what they want without any consequences. You know, Bag said it earlier. Actions have consequences, and you need to see consequences, or the next person that comes along is just going to open their mouth and spout nonsense. You can't. If I did what this dude did, I would be fired from my workplace. I'd be called into HR, and my bags would be packed before I even got into HR. It would be waiting for me with security to be escorted out of the building. How this dude still has a job is insane. But hey, maybe Microsoft's in the business of losing custom business and games sold. But if he stays, Avowed is screwed. You could, John, but we live in different times now. You live in different times, and it seems like, you know, certain factions of people can say what they want and get away with it, but if I said it, I'd be fired on the spot. So at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not gonna. I mean, the fact that he turns around and wants supporters of Donald Trump to feel the sting of shame. Wasn't there something like 70 million, 80 million people that voted for Trump? So he's Microsoft is basically saying, right, we're just losing 80 million worth of potential customers off the bat in the US alone. Good job. I don't know. It's dumb. And it shouldn't be happening. But, you know, it is what it is. And I think they need to sort that shit out very, very, very quickly. Because if they don't, Avowed is going to suffer. And the longer they leave it, the longer it suffers. That's my take on it. Avowed could be a good game. Avowed could be a great game. It doesn't matter in the culture war society that we live in. The culture war society that we live in dictates what do you like and what you don't. I mean, I think this clip here, where is it? Did I even save it? Did I lose it? One sec. I know I had the clip here. Maybe I lost it. It was actually a good clip. I wanted to play it, actually. Let me just see if I've got it in my bookmarks. Not there. Not there. Oh, I have got it. Never mind. I will just... It's this one here. Just listen to this clip. And I think this clip summarizes pretty much everything.
Social media has made gaming more popular and accessible than ever before. You have the ability to go out and find your audience and make the exact game that those players want to play. But because of the nature of social media, if your worldviews and your personality is not congruent with that audience, you will sink your game. It's as simple as that. Sure, there's probably going to be some people that are out there that are saying, well, you need to represent both sides of this issue. Can't developers be human? No, they can't. When it comes to these interactions between players and developers, the responsibility, the accountability ultimately falls with the developers. Players, by nature, are a diverse group, passionate, opinionated. They can be toxically positive or toxically negative. But the critical distinction here is that they do not represent a company. Anything beyond actions that would cross legal or ethical boundaries, they do not have the same level of accountability.
I mean, at the end of the day, all that matters when it comes to a consumer is, are you making a product that they will buy? You can make the greatest game in the world, but if it's not going to appeal to 95% of the gaming community, that game is going to flop. No one is going to buy it, right? Or you can make an averagely good game, that appeals to the mass community, and a lot of people are going to buy it. You know, The First Descendant is one of those. You know, I don't think The First Descendant is a great game, but it's a pretty good game. It's found its community. It knows what the people want, and it keeps on giving it to them, and they keep on going back and buying those skins and outfits and those ultimate versions, and that's making them bank because they know what their community wants, so they're giving it to them. But if you decide that you know what your community wants when you don't know, and you're saying you will like this, you will have forced fun, it doesn't work that way. You can't take money away from me that I'm not prepared to give. And Dragon Age saw that, right? The Veil Guard sold worse than Star Wars Outlaws. Let that sink in. It actually sold worse than Star Wars Outlaws.
Developers, on the other hand, they're professionals.
Hey,
well, they're supposed to be professionals, working in a forward-facing role. I realize that they probably haven't come to terms with that necessarily just yet, but because of the nature of social media, whether you're on the clock or off the clock, you are a representative of your company. The things that you say, the things that you do will fall back on that game, on that product, on that team that you're working with.
And that's the worst part about what this, handsome guy did. There could be like a number, 200, 300, 400 people who literally don't agree with this art director's view, but because he is a director, they can't speak up to him out of fear that they're going to lose their job. And in this day and age, losing your job could mean that you lose your home, right? So they just have to bear with it. But his actions could now put all of those people out of a job. And Microsoft is still doing nothing about it. Nothing. The buck stops with Microsoft. It stops with Satya Nadella and Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond. By the way, what is Matt Booty even doing? Is he even still there? That guy disappeared. Like, did they literally give him the boot or something? Does anyone actually know what happened to Matt Booty?
That's just how this works. It's the reality of the situation. It's the reality of working in a public-facing role. No, they have to realize that they have to maintain some level of professionalism. But the problem is that's, well, a little bit too much for some.
And it's not even a case of that it's too much for some. Is that a cat? It's not even the case where it's too much for some. It's more of a case of, they know they can get away with it, so they're willing to say whatever they want. Because there is no consequences for actions. It's sad. And he needs to go. But unless anyone else has anything to add, I'm going to end that there because I'm sick of, talking about it. It's literally being posted to me about 10 times a day, and I just thought I'd cover it once on the stream and then move on. That's harsh, dude. Come on, that's harsh. All right, it's not my right, but it's Microsoft's right. And Microsoft has the right to punish because it's going to cost them millions. And if it costs them millions, then questions are going to be asked very, very quickly as to why Phil Spencer or Sarah Bond or Matt Booty or whoever's in charge at Obsidian let this happen under their watch and did nothing about it. And when jobs are lost because the game doesn't financially do well because people are boycotting it, it's not going to be the heads of department or the directors that get, the axe, it's going to be the innocent people working there who'd had probably nothing to do with it that get the axe. So yes, I disagree with that statement, and they should be gone. And they should be punished. And it should be a public showing as well. I mean, it's also illegal, right? They discriminated against employing peoples of a certain color. That's literally illegal. That's discrimination in the workplace. That's discriminatory hiring. So that's, you know, if anyone is in that position and they file a lawsuit against Microsoft, which I wholly advise them to do, they'll never have to work a day in their life again. %, Ventura. 100%. Oh, it's an Assassin's Creed reference. I see. I really didn't like Valhalla. I think I played it for like 2 hours and I couldn't stand it. I am liking Mirage though. I need to go back and finish it at some point. He wants to live in the woods. He wants them to free him of his role so he can go to the woods and live happy while he's hugging a tree and grinding on the tree bark. Probably going to be like that dude in the US that I saw on the news where he went behind a supermarket with a frozen turkey on Turkey Day and decided to go to town with it. It was a meth head. So he's probably going to do the same thing by drilling a hole in the tree bark. Probably too much information. But you've got the graphic info now in your minds, so it is there now. Deal with it. Share name? What name? My biggest issue with Ubisoft games is that they're way too bloaty. I just don't like bloat. And I have a tendency to want to do everything on the map, and then I'm just there for ages for no reason, and you don't even get anything interesting by doing the map. No way, Paul. We're going to have to check that one out. That dude. But I mean, the PS5 Pro is in a bad place right now. And even, you know, D-Batch trying to defend it. And now, every time I see someone defending the PS5 Pro, well, it's better than an Xbox Series X. You know what? I would expect it at double the price to be better, yeah. Do you know what else I expect to be better? My 3090 Ti to be better than a PS5 Pro. I also expect a 4090 to be better than a PS5 Pro. Do you know what? I expect the 5090 to be better than the PS5 Pro. Now, if it wasn't better than the PS5 Pro, I'd be pretty goddamn pissed after spending all that money. But these guys are like, well, you know what? It's better than my Commodore 6. It's better than that Commodore 64 or the Spectrum or the Amstrad. Or, you know, when they combine Atari Amstrad together, it's better than that. So it's okay. I mean, if you're going to go with that mentality, then, you know what? I've got an invisible bridge to sell you as well. But I thought this was quite nice. Where is it? Is this the one here? Did I actually not get the right thing? I've actually not got it. That's a shame. Oh, here it is. So they actually responded to this. I don't have the quote tweet. Oh, here it is. So someone said that their game of the year is Little Kitty Big City. And they responded, as long as we're game of the year in your hearts, that's all that matters. And, you know, for a small company like this, a small indie company, getting some recognition like this from their fans, I think is awesome. I think it's really, really awesome. I haven't played this. I heard it's a good game. A small game, but it's fun nonetheless. Might sit down and play with my daughter because she loves cats. But I thought that was quite, you know, this time of the year it's quite nice. It's a nice way to give back to the smaller indie companies. It doesn't cost you anything, a bit of kindness, but trust me, they appreciated this more than this Lily person will actually know. When getting a dog game, you don't get dog games. We only do cat games. And that is how it goes. Ah, see, Sandra? I was not wrong. But yeah, so it's nice to give back to developers in that way. So, it looks like the FTC is at it again, and this time they have screwed up royally. They have messed up on... It might be a case where Lena Khan doesn't just get replaced, she might actually now get fired. So it turns out that the situation where Microsoft was being investigated for the antitrust with cloud and stuff, that information shouldn't have been leaked to the media, but it looks like the FTC decided that they were going to give it to the media anyway before Microsoft even got any papers. Today I asked on behalf of Microsoft, the FTC Inspector General, to investigate whether FTC management improperly leaked confidential information about a potential antitrust investigation last week in violation of the agency's ethics rules and rules of practice. Ironically, almost a week after telling the press about an information demand supposedly issued to Microsoft, we still cannot obtain a copy of this document from the FTC. So the FTC has basically gone to the media and said, we're requesting all this information from Microsoft, and they haven't even sent the papers to Microsoft to actually ask for that information. So they've actually leaked the information ahead of time to try and, you know, destabilize Microsoft even more. And it looks like the FTC could get into a lot of trouble because now this actually does give Microsoft some grounds to go after the FTC for breaking the rules. I mean, the FTC are beyond stupid here, and they have, you know, they have royally messed up. So this, you know, they've sent it to them now via email. They hadn't even sent it to them officially. So, yeah. It looks like Lena Khan might not be being replaced after all. They're just going to get booted her out straight away. I mean, it's clear here that you know, the FTC no longer is not even trying to hide that they're biased towards Microsoft and they hate them, and they just want to get in the way of them at every turn they possibly can. It's stupid. There was no accident here. This was purposefully giving out to the media. There's literally no accident here. So, what they will do is they speak to both the parties involved, and they complete a survey that basically says, after a certain point, the FTC can pass on this information to the media. And that survey never took place, which means Microsoft did not give them their authorization for this to be gone public yet. I mean, Microsoft hasn't even seen the papers that was supposed to be sent to them regarding the antitrust, and they decided that they were going to leak this to the media anyway to try and destabilize, because they're on their way out and they want to do as much damage as they possibly can. It is pretty stupid of them. And again, you know, that whole term, F around, find out. Actions have consequences. And obviously, Lena Khan's going to say one of her underlings did it and she wasn't aware of it, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, the buck stops at the top to know what your staff is doing, and she should be held accountable for this. Sorry, chat. Sorry about that. But yeah, so hopefully we'll hear more about this and what's going on, but the FTC is pretty stupid for this. I mean, even if it is a farewell, if this actually gets pinned on Lena, that she actively released confidential information with the view to damage and sabotage and destabilize the company, how do you think that's going to look on her resume when people when she goes to apply for a new job? I mean, I guess you could always go back to the UK and hope the CMA takes her back, but I'd rather she stayed where she is. John, no, the current case is still going, and it looks like, from my understanding of the way the US law works, and I could be wrong here because I've only got a brief understanding of how it works there. The current case in question, which is still basically the 9th District Court doesn't want to actually give a verdict. They've openly said that they would prefer if Microsoft and the FTC could come to some arrangement. The FTC has said that we're not willing to come to an arrangement. Microsoft has said we're willing to talk. The 9th District Court is saying, well, I'm not going to pass a ruling. So this can only go on until the 25th of January, and then the case just disappears when the administration changes. So it will only be until next year now. After next year, the case either has to be heard as a emergency in court with a decision to be made in the 9th District Court, or it's just going to fall through as a case that's basically dismissed with hopefully without prejudice. Hey, Marvel Mad, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it, dude. Welcome to the show. Would Pitt probably be Elon Musk? I'm joking. Oh, could you imagine? Could you imagine? But yeah. By the way, for those that don't know, there is a new dynamic background of our boy Indy. Fortune to glory. it just quietly just appeared. It's not as cool as the 30th anniversary screen, but don't worry. For everything that Sony does, they sure do screw it up. I still can't believe Sony did that. But this is a really cool dynamic background. I'm using it at the moment. Obviously, indie is coming. But, yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick this up early access, by the way, guys. I'm still on two fences just on how I feel about early access. Though, honestly, there's a more chance that I will than I won't. If I am streaming this on Friday, am I doing this over at Twitch or over on YouTube? So... Twitch. Stalker 2 background is better. Hey, look, I'm an indie fan. I love indie. That ain't, if indie is there, it's a no-brainer for me. Marvel, my internet is so bad at the moment where I live at the moment temporarily. TLDR, I live in temporary accommodation at the moment. I've only got 60 meg internet, and I've tried multi-streaming, and one, the latency is really horrible, and two, sending the stream out and it going to multiple places just provides worse quality. So until I move from this place, because when I was in my old place, I was multi-streaming when I was in my permanent place. But until I move, it's a single place at the moment. The old movies did use this art style, yes. What do I think of Starfield? I love Starfield. I think the DLC was a bit weird. You know what? We like polls here, right? Let's do a poll. I think the DLC was a bit weird. I'll give it that. It definitely had, things going for it and some things not going for it. They tried something different, and I appreciate that. But let's see. Stream indie. YouTube. Twitch. Get voting, people. But yeah, once I move and I've got, hopefully back to my gigabit internet, then I'll be able to multi-stream. And, you've got stuff like Restream and things like that can do it, but they add horrendous latency. But OBS actually allows you to send multiple signals out from your own, from your own PC and stream in multiple areas. And if you've got the bandwidth to be able to do it, that gives you like zero latency across all the platforms, and it just gives you the kind of like the best experience for your viewers. And that's what I was using towards the end at my old place before we had to move out. So once I move back into my new place, once we get a new place and we've got better internet, then I will look into that again. But that's basically the reasoning behind it. Not because I prefer one over the other. Damn, Paul. Is YouTube that far delayed? So again, YouTube can actually be faster than Twitch. It is possible. But I've got it set to low latency. So you got 3 settings for latency. Normal latency, which is crap. You got low latency, which stresses your connection a little bit for the low connections like I have. And then ultra low, which I did try in this property, and it didn't work. The stream was buffering and everything, and you guys hated it, and it wasn't working. But that actually gives you like 1 to 2 second latency between them. I mean, Mixer was the best. That was real time, right? Faster than light. But ultra low gives you like between 1 and 3 seconds in terms of latency between what I'm saying and you guys hearing it. But I can't use that on this connection. So that's something that's just simply not available to me. I mean, the FTC is just a joke. And I'm sorry if you can hear my daughter. They've gone mental. It's just a figment of your imagination, Paul. It's a figment of your imagination. Clearly, Man United are on top. You're just suffering from delusions of grandeur. So it seems like all the talk about Sony and Kadokawa has kind of died down. Sony wanting only parts of Kadokawa. They don't want to buy it all, mainly because they probably can't afford to buy it all. But Kadokawa isn't backing down and basically wants a full merger. Haven't really heard anything else about this. This kind of has disappeared. There was supposed to be a Bloodborne reveal today. That didn't really happen. Did anyone hear anything about Bloodborne? I kept my eye out for it to see if there was anything going on. Didn't see anything. So, all that hype for nothing. But it looks like this Kadokawa deal may not go through. Mainly because I think Kadokawa's value has quadrupled since they made it public, intent to buy. Twitch isn't bad. I mean, Twitch has better emojis and better tools for engagement. It's weird why they don't do that on YouTube. It's odd why they don't do it. But they don't. All the tools are for Twitch. But it looks like 26, 28 votes. Come on, we can actually get to, let's get that to like 50 votes. Not even half of you have voted. But yeah, so I haven't heard anything else regarding Sony and Kadokawa. It's kind of like just died down and disappeared, and I'm sure they're still talking in the backgrounds, but at this point, it's assumed that Sony just can't afford them. Yeah, that league did not do them any favors at all, Safo. Because where they could have bought the company for record cheap, it quadrupled in price, and those shareholders want their money. I mean, look, you know the story. You know the curse of being top at Christmas. It's happened time and time again. It's super rare that a team top at Christmas wins the Premier League. It's only happened a few times. Not many. I'm just saying. Microsoft should buy it. Well, Microsoft want to buy it. Kadakawa. But Kadakawa wants to stay in Japan. And Microsoft has no real connection to Japan. No studios there. No outlets. Microsoft. Don't be daft, Steve. You think City will win the league? Mate, the way they're going to get relegated. I said there's been only a handful of occasions, not even a handful. You can probably count in less than one hand on how many times someone has won. No, Tango wouldn't have done anything, Arthur. People think, Tango's like the holy grail. Microsoft need a base of operations there, and they don't have one. Not a stable one anyway. They need a proper, base of operations there that actually does business, and that needs to go to Kadakawa and then offer to buy them, not Tango. The FTC is just trying anything just to be twats at this point, Paul. It is obvious. I mean, Steve, all they need to do is buy Square Enix, and that would be you will see the biggest meltdown on social media you have ever seen. Pep Guardiola out? Man, that guy had done so much for you guys. Give him a break. You've got injuries. Harry, they can. But if the Japanese are running the Microsoft Japan, then they're going to be... There's no reason to be biased. I mean, there's that, Sappho. My assumption is that if Microsoft were to buy Kadakawa, they would just leave them to their own accord to do whatever they want. Well, not whatever they wanted, within reason, but let them operate as they were. But the fact that Kadakawa is really desperate to sell is, to me, a red flag. A company doesn't usually desperately seek someone to buy them. Do you know who the last one to do that was? Bungie. Yeah, let that sink in. The last company to, beg someone to buy them was Bungie. Kadakawa is doing the same thing right now. They are begging someone in Japan to buy them. And I get it, they're in the midst of a potential hostile takeover. But it's still a red flag for me. Yeah, I know they're in the midst of a hostile takeover. But they could always just buy their own shares, right? Or did I just say something super dumb? Either way, it's gone really quiet. Really, really quiet. Yeah, it's from a company called Corral, something like that. Cacao. I was close. Hey, I think Microsoft's got bigger problems on their hands trying to deal with this whole Avowed situation, so they need to deal with that and get it sorted. All right, so I've been seeing something on social media, right? A lot of people have been. I mean, I've seen a lot of Xbox podcasts talking about this as well. Come on, guys, we're better than this, yeah? We are better than this. Let's not do this, right? Let's not do this. The Xbox Series X and S is number one in the Xbox Series X and S consoles category. You don't say. I'm just saying. We are better than this, right? We don't need to be parading this information like it's the second coming of Christ. It makes us look stupid. Right? We do not, like, I am seeing so many, influencers in podcasts looking at this and celebrating. They're basically saying, hey, we've created our own group where it's just me in there and I'm winning. I'm not being funny, but that's kind of sad. It makes Xbox look desperate even more. And it just makes it look stupid. This is garbage. Please, if you see anyone doing it, tell them to stop. This is sad. This actually makes more sense with why PlayStation fans are absolutely ripping anyone to shreds, even remotely trying to use this as a win. You're literally handing it to them on the plate. I know, Arthur one, and it's stupid. It literally says bestseller in Xbox Series X and S consoles category. Like, come on, man. Come on, don't be using this. It's kind of it makes us look so it's bad. And then I'm seeing like people like genuinely like proper gung ho on this shit. Like they are using this as like, you know what, people were saying no one wanted an Xbox and it's never gonna be number one. But it's number one here, and it's like, no, don't do that. Just don't do that, right? Then we had this old advert here in the UK where you see the guy running a marathon, and instead of drinking water from the thing, they give him a cup of soup, and they say there's a time and a place for a cup of soup, and that isn't one of them. Yeah, this isn't one of those. This isn't one of those times where you should be celebrating. You know what, Paul? That's the kind of impression I got. I mean, yeah, the X is definitely more in demand than the X, but that's mainly because the Series X All Digital has kind of replaced it. I know the Series S still exists, but this is actually cheaper and it kind of replaced. I think it's like $100 more or $150 more, and it's kind of replaced the Series S's appeal. So this is kind of like the old digital thing that they're selling now. We need a win here. This ain't it though, Chief. This is not a cheat. This is not it. They don't want to sell it to Tencent either because they're Chinese. I mean, Tencent just purchased Kuro Games, right? They just bought a 51% majority share with Kuro Games. So there's actually a chance now, considering Microsoft and Tencent are working together with games like Age of Empire that released over in China. There's a chance now that Wuthering Waves could actually make its way over to Xbox. So that would be interesting. By the way, Anime, if you're still here, what help did you need with Genshin Impact? You never really did say. But Tencent has their hand in everything, and I mean everything. And that's how they usually do their business. That's a really weird one, Automata. But no, they're not. That's still being skipped. But that's a much bigger game than Wuthering Waves. Byron, that's part of the reason. I mean, let's be fair, right? The Series S should never have existed. For $300 or 250 as it is here in the UK. In fact, on Black Friday it was £200 or just under £200. It's an amazing machine for the price point. Bang for buck, you are not going to get better. Period. It is just such a phenomenal machine. For that price point, it's insane. But really, the Series S should have just been a cloud machine. It should have been a cloud machine that they bundled Game Pass with it for your xCloud needs and just said, right, here you go, $130 with 3 months of Game Pass and a controller, off you go. That's what they should have done with the Series S, and then they should have had the Series X disc version and the all digital. That's how they should have launched it. They just released 2 different SKUs, and the moment you did that, you create problems with memory bandwidth when one doesn't have the same amount of memory. I did not see the MBG reveal. That only applies to Hoyo, by the way. Hoyo do not... If you are a content creator with Hoyo, they literally own your soul. Signing that I've seen the contract for Hoyoverse. A friend of mine showed it to me. That is one really, really brutal contract. You can't be seen playing a competitor's game. It's really bad. Like, you literally sign your soul away. Woodpit, they can't do that because they've promised users from the very beginning. That's why this generation, it's here to stay. They won't, Sappho. And I can tell you why they won't be facing the same issue. Because they're going to do one thing that is fundamentally different than what they did this time. And it's only one thing. What they're going to do is turn around and say there is no parity clause between the consoles. If the handheld can't run a feature, you just disable it. Done. So games like Baldur's Gate 3 would have launched day and date. But it's the requirement to release with parity that was the issue with the Series X and S. They have to get it working with the same features, and that's sometimes just not possible. But this Xbox here should actually, in theory at least, run better than the black Xbox. Apparently the cooling is much better in there, which means that and they've said the airflow is also better in the all digital. It runs the GPU and the CPU a little bit cooler at same load, which means that they've got more room to push that little bit more further, if they're allowed to. That is, I don't even know if they do that, but it does have room to actually run a little faster because it's actually being cooled better. A bit like how the Asus ROG Ally X compared to the Asus ROG. It's got the same processing. It's got the same graphics card, the Extreme Z1, but the ROG Ally X runs better because it has better cooling, so it gives it like 10% better performance, up to 20% at times, just because of the overall cooling being so much more efficient. Is it only 2%? I don't know. I've not looked into it, so I can't say. I'm just saying, in theory, it should run better. Yeah, I want the Halo edition as well. That's the one that I want. If I find it for a good price, I'm gonna pick it up. But yeah, let's not do this. And if you see anyone doing this, let's stop them doing it. This isn't it. So, unlike Devin, who decided that he's going to go and spend $20 on these games last week, for those of you that did wait, you can get Crackdown 1 and 2 for free. That's right. 1 and 2 is available for you to pick up digitally on your Xbox for free. Like, it was there. How could I not? There's like, if I didn't take the jab, you would have moaned that I'm holding it back. That's what I thought, Arthur. But apparently, people have been talking about it, saying it's not been free for ages. I've had them for a long time. I've even covered it multiple times in videos. So, yeah. Whether they suck or not is irrelevant. It's free. Grab them. Why not? Free is free. On that note, did anyone actually do any buy any games on Black Friday? I bought a few games myself. I got the not Terminator. I got the Tomb Raider trilogy. Spirits of the North. I got the Mass Effect trilogy. Maybe I could sit down and finally play them. Pretty sure I played them, but at least not on Xbox, so I don't have any record for achievements for it. I mean, I vaguely remember Mass Effect 1. You start off, you go to like this ice planet building, you go through, speak to some scientists and whatnot as you're infiltrating through. It had horrendous controls, if I remember correctly. After that, you kind of go back to the main kind of structure. Your main base. It's almost like Star Trek-y, to be fair. Reminded me of that. So I think I remember vaguely, but it's been such a long time and I haven't played it on Xbox, so I really don't remember much, if anything. So it'll be a new experience. So maybe we can go through all three of them sometime on stream with lots of backseat gaming. You bought more Gobblegums? Dead Island 2? Nice. Oh, I saw the bald thing from MBG. That was interesting. I was gonna get it on PC, but then I saw it and it was just cheaper on Xbox, and I said, look, graphically they look pretty much the same, so it's good enough for me. Sony's pricing for their PS5 was aggressive as man. I think it was £324.99 here in the UK. For the that's crazy pricing, right? £324.99. The Series X here in the UK was £399.99. Like, they completely outpriced Xbox, like, entirely. Hey, sup, Sanchez? $324.99. That's an amazing price. The only thing cheaper than that was the Series S, and that was, I think, just under £200, which again is a great price for the kit you're picking up, right? No one can really dispute that the pricing of that is not good. Harry, they're focused on console sales because third parties only care about how many games, in terms of the platform they're releasing it on. They want to know how many, as a third party, you want to know how many consoles they've got in their home base, in their home installs. So if they're looking at platforms to release their games on, they'll look at Sony and say, let's just hypothetically say the Switch has got 100 million, Sony have got 100 million, and then Xbox has got 30 million. These are hypothetical numbers. They're not real numbers. I'm just exaggerating them to make a point. As a third-party studio, you're going to look at the two bases and say, right, they've got 100 million, they've got 100 million. Those players can play their games physically at home on their console. Microsoft may have 500 million MAUs, that's fine. But in terms of home install consoles, they have 30 million. The other 470 million doesn't factor into it. And so they are only going to look at that 30 million. And if they're not happy with that 30 million install base, considering give or take only about 5% buy the games anyway when they release them and sell them, if that isn't good enough, then they skip your platform. So having a larger install base is always going to be more attractive. And even if they sell 2%, 2% of 100 million is way more than 30 million. So it may be okay to laugh at them for only selling 2 million, but that 2 million is still, a lot more. Sorry, that 2% of a million is way more than 30 million. So third-party developers, publishers, will look at the install base and not the overall MAU. Now, the only time they'll look at the MAU is when it's a multi-platform game. Then it doesn't really, for the most part, matter. Then they'll just look at, will I get my return on interest? And then they'll go back to the percentages. And if they say yes, then they will. If they say no, then they skip the platform. And that's generally how it works. Now, with the cloud thing that's coming in for Xbox, for mobile, once it gets authorized through Google, that's going to be a potential game changer. Because what that will mean, right, is every Android phone out there can actually now buy a game on their Android device and play it through the cloud via a Series X console. Because xCloud runs through either a Series X or a Series S. But it will be a Series console. So they now become an Xbox console user in order to play. So if then, let's say hypothetically, Xbox suddenly gets 70 million Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, and those 70 million are playing through the cloud, it doesn't matter that don't have a physical box because they're still connecting to the cloud and playing through the Xbox Series console, which means now that publisher looks at that and says, hey, look, these people are buying games. This is 100 million different customers. It doesn't matter that they've got a box. They're still playing it on a Series console. Now it's worth our while to build on that Series console and not skip it for no reason whatsoever because we've got a much bigger base. MAUs are great, and it's a really nice thing for them to show. And what, for games like Call of Duty, MAUs are, awesome because it just means more opportunities for microtransactions. And whether, people are buying the game on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox, it doesn't matter. MAUs in that situation are phenomenal because it basically increases the chances of microtransactions. And let's face it, all the money is there anyway. That's where they make the big bucks. When people buy a 30 pence, someone making a skin in 1 hour and then they sell 10 million of those skins, that's where they're making the big bucks, right? That return of investment is insane. But when a publisher looks at when they're making a game, the first thing they look at is the install base, not the MAU. And so that's generally the confusion between it. And that's why Sony has historically pushed console sales, because even if they only sell 3% of 100 million, that 3% of 100 million is more than 3% of 30 million. I've read that as well, Sanchez. That's weird, but I believe it's true as well. I think a lot of them are stuck. Well, Sony counts shipped consoles as sold, but just because they're shipped doesn't actually mean they're being sold, right? They could just be stuck in warehouses. So, and I'm pretty sure scalpers still have a bunch of them that they have in their warehouses rotting away. They made millions after all. They don't care if they rot away. Their losses have already been calculated, so they wouldn't care. So you've probably got tons of them with the scalpers global, in the US and the UK and the rest of Europe, and then you've got those that are stuck in warehouses that are just sitting there, or on store shelves that are sitting there. And that's so with Sony, it's a grey area. Shipped is sold to them because they're selling it to the businesses, or they're selling it to scalpers or whatever. But it still counts towards their metric. Even if it's not turned on, they can turn around to any publisher and say, we have 70 million consoles sold. And that's appealing to a third-party publisher. Wait, what was clipped? What do I think of MBG, Paul? Honestly, I don't know. He comes off weird at times, but I think it's alright overall. I think he's a lot less fanboy-y than all the others. Put it that way. I think, if you're looking at all the others that are doing their shows, whether it's Retarded Gaming or, Potato Rock or whatever, they're all kind of full gung-ho console warring, and that's what they focus their whole persona on, just full-on console wars, whereas there is some element of that to MBG, but oddly enough, I think he's way more attached to the ethos of the console and, than the others. He actually, in a weird way, cares about PlayStation. So it is what it is. Now, what did I say that got clipped? Did I say stupid numbers again? Is that what got clipped? Did I say dumb numbers when I was talking about the 30 millions and the 100 millions and the percentages? I must have said something really stupid. Harry, I would agree with that. And, you know, in the end, I think, how can I put it? He has a certain delivery method, you know, like I have my delivery method. And if people want to become members, it's appreciative. If they want a super chat, it's appreciative. He's kind of the only thing I have that I say is weird. He constantly badgers a little. He tries to do, you know, retarded gaming's style of begging people for memberships. That's something new. So once he stops that, but you know, at the end of the day, like you say, it's a business. A lot of these streams take time and effort to set up. They're not, you know, organized within 5 minutes. They usually take, you know, 3-4 hours, sometimes more, to dig up the news, find the news, things to talk about, get things set up, and, you know, so you want to return on that investment. And for him, he wants, well, I'm not even sure if he works full time. I have a full time job. Because if I was doing this full time, I'd be homeless. So if that's his full time job, he really needs it, then I can understand why he's gone down that route. But it is what it is. Oh, it was the math? I must have said something wrong then. I mean, we're about to get into that soon, Paul, but it doesn't look good. I mean, based on what I've seen from what Digital Foundry is saying, it looks pretty bad for PlayStation at the moment, the Pro at the moment. I'm happy I didn't pay full price for it, because if I did, I would feel really, really dirty. And for those that did pay it, all they're doing right now is trying to justify their purchase, and that's stupid. I mean, those channels that, I mean, if you make a YouTube channel and you start going and talking about, you know, the woke side of things, right now you would make an absolute killing. Right? You'll make an absolute killing, because that's pretty much where all the metrics are. Now, I remember MBG actually trying to do that, and he lost a lot of subs in the process, because that's not what his audience is there for. His audience is there for his normal delivery of content. So if you have to build your channel around that. The problem with that is, once that's gone, your audience is gone too. So it's better to bring up something that's more generic and organic, or something that you know that's going to consistently be there. Like, for example, if you do want to mock the fanboys like Alex does, then there's endless content there for him to just dive in and pick out what he wants and have fun with them. Byron, that could be shown at the Game Awards. So, eyes peeled, which I will be streaming. I should have the placeholder for that up either tomorrow or the next day. For the 12th, it does start at 12:30 a.m. my time on the 13th. So I'm probably going to try and go live at midnight and then we'll chat around for half an hour before it starts. For those that want to hang out, it's probably going to finish at around 4 a.m. like the last one did. I am going to suffer greatly, but it was great fun last time when we watched it, so hopefully it'll be fun again this time. Did anyone see this? I think this looks kind of cool. I am looking forward to this. We gotta play this. You're the only reason I think it's going to be the controller. It's not the hardware. It's not a console. It's not the handheld. And now we know that the media agencies have received a device, and they're saying it will make sense soon. The only place it's going to make sense soon is at the Game Awards. It is hardware being a device, so the only thing it can possibly be is the controller. You too, Paul. You too. Take it easy, and thanks for stopping by. Yeah. This is kind of cool, right? This is really cool. Squid Game's coming to COD. I am looking forward to this. I really am. I'm hoping they do it justice. January 2025. Nah, they've already said that they're not going to do the streaming console. They've scrapped that idea entirely. Mainly because they couldn't get the price point down to £99. So basically they wanted to get it down to $99, £99 with the controller and 3 months of Game Pass. And they just couldn't get the production costs down low enough to get it to that point. So they scrapped the idea entirely. So that's probably why they moved over to the Fire Stick, because the Fire Stick allows them to pretty much have stream the same thing with a controller and Game Pass for like $70. So it's a no-brainer. You're not going to beat that price point, and Amazon are perfectly happy to, for the extra sales of the Fire Stick. So the keynote essentially became the Fire Stick. I heard Prop Hunt has a lot of problems in Call of Duty. Heard. I don't know if it's true. Besides Xbox handheld controller, any predictions on what games that's coming to Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo? If it's Sony, Microsoft holding. I mean, Blade will probably be multi-platform. It's going to follow the same path as Indiana Jones. I think Phil made that perfectly clear when he said licensing is really difficult with a subscription model, especially with the contracts that Marvel want. So I think that's like 26, 27. So that's way ahead. But at the moment, it is going to be one-way traffic. I don't see Sony really putting anything outside of what's already planned, like Marathon, and even that might change. I don't see Nintendo sharing anything because they just don't have to. Microsoft is the one that wants to make, give some of their products away, and the others are going to gracefully accept it. I don't know if Starfield will ever go. Some people are saying it will. Forza Horizon has always been on the talks. I suspect Hellblade at some point will get announced for PlayStation. South of Midnight eventually may do as well, but that's it. That's all I can see for now. I see Nintendo releasing their first game on PC around 27-28. I think that's when they're going to join the fray. There's a new Sony game being hinted at. Harry, no, at this rate, no one's buying Avowed. Not even on PC. And I don't think anyone on PlayStation is going to buy it either. Not until they get rid of Hansen. They really need to get rid of that dude. That dude needs to go. He's going to single-handedly sink that game. But yeah, Nintendo's going crazy on pirates. I don't think Fable will go. So the games that I don't think will go are Gears, Halo, Fable, Starfield, Perfect Dark. Well, that's a question mark. But Perfect Dark, I'll add. I would have said Forza as well, but the rumors are rampant about that one at the moment, from what people are telling me. Xbox can handle UE5 better than the PS5 Pro. The processor on the Xbox is better, and UE5 is very CPU dependent. It's just a better CPU. There's no magic here that's being done. It's just a better CPU. And we've seen what Pissa does to it. It completely destroys it even more. If they can stay stable 30 FPS, at least that's something. With the way they're pushing Forza Horizon 5, I don't even know if there's going to be a Forza Horizon 6 anytime soon. I just don't see the need for it. All they need to do is give it a facelift. And at some point, leave the Series S behind. I'm not defending 30 FPS. PlayStation fans are defending 30 FPS. To PlayStation fans, 30 FPS is the new craze. I will never defend 30 FPS. UE5 is a rubbish engine. It's that simple. The current technology just is not ready for it. And even if it was, even PC struggles with UE5, right? Unless you've got like a 4090 which can brute force it. Even my 3090 struggles with it. Nah, to me, 60. It needs to be around 60. But UE5 does run better on Xbox. Ah, Harry. On point. Because these are the games that are coming soon to Game Pass Core. Crash Team Racing, Nitro Fuel, DayZ, and Goat Simulator. As well as that, these games are coming to Game Pass Standard and Ultimate. And as you can see, Nitro Fuel is there. You've got Indiana Jones, WRC. I'll probably play that one actually. I've missed rally games. Carrion was a odd one. I remember seeing this at one of the game shows. It interested me a little bit. Now this one over here has sent a bunch of people up the wall into a panic frenzy, which is strange, but there you go. But it is finally going to, well, it's now going to be available on Standard Game Pass. Standard should really be abolished. I'm not sure. I think so. Gaming you wanted Crash for? I'm sure that's going to arrive at some point. Oh yes, there's one. Fantasia New Dimension is day one for me, hopefully. I am very looking forward to that game. I've been wanting to play that game ever since I saw it being advertised on Apple Arcade. I am not going to miss it this time. MOH, Stalker 2 now is a good game. Since it received its patches, it's much better. What about all the other CODs? Who knows? They'll eventually arrive, but they're giving them piecemeal. And here's the dates for the stuff. December the 4th, so Crash Team Nitro is tomorrow. WRC is on the 5th. Overthrown, day and date, on the 5th. Indiana Jones, December the 6th, day 1, which is incorrect. Because the 9th is the day 1. I'm going to be right back. Just need to use the restroom. But I'm going to actually talk about that December the 6th because that pisses me off. But I'll be right back. In the meantime, I'll leave you with Chille. We are back. So as you can see here, December the 6th says day 1. It's actually not day 1. December the 9th will be day 1. So as a Game Pass subscriber, as a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, this is a great area for me. I know it's early access, but I still think it's a bit wrong. If you're telling me day 1, I expect to play it the same day as everyone else. Let's get something to get Chaos banned. No, let's not do that. Hey, Oreo is sleeping. He's in the background over there sleeping. So, in my opinion, if you're going to be doing something day 1, and I know Microsoft is double dipping with this to get people to buy the early access so they can get the Game Pass subscription and the early access in order to make more money, but I just think it's wrong. I think it's wrong. Yeah, Wild Frost is on the December the 10th, January 2nd is Carrion, and Road 96 is on 7th. So basically, if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, in my eyes, you are not getting Indiana Jones day and date. You are getting it 3 days later. Susano, everything gets a day 1 patch. So expect it to get a patch. No, Bags, I totally understand why they do it. But the messaging is still wrong. That's my point. I mean, they did the same thing for Starfield, which someone pointed out, but I bought the collector's edition version of that anyway, so it didn't matter. I wanted to get the collector's edition for this, but I don't know. I've spent too much money. I'm literally broke. I don't even have enough money to bloody get the thing. Power supply I need. But yeah. You don't even get the physical game, you just get a... You just literally get a thing. A steelbook case and that's it. There's probably no game in there. Fun stuff. But that is cool, I like it. But like I said, with the amount of money I've spent already, I am absolutely broke. Christmas and my car insurance and my MOT has bled me dry. It does look like YouTube on the poll, doesn't it? So you guys better turn up. It's like £5 difference. It's £5 cheaper, right? It's not even worth considering. I mean, everything has a day one patch, man. Everything. It's just... Oh, the premium upgrade actually here is £35. 2 days, 1 hour and 54 minutes. And of course, it's not going to work day one. You're going to have lots of problems. Which is why they say, live the adventure with the premium upgrade to get up to 3 days early access. You're not guaranteed to get 3 days. You may get no days if there's problems. But you will get up to 3 days. Now they say up to cover any legal issues that may arise. You're not guaranteed to get those 3 days no more. So you pay £35 and if shit happens, you won't even get those 3 days. Welcome back, Gorsty. No, Duck, you've got every right to feel that way. The way Microsoft has handled a lot of this stuff is pretty poor. Is there a PlayStation showcase today? Not that I'm aware of. Sony hasn't announced anything. Just keep a lookout for baby steps. If you see baby steps, then you know that there's a showcase coming. But you know what? Fallout seems to be doing they're just pumping out content. Gleaming Depths is the next update that you're getting.
I told you, didn't I? They always build some machine.
It's crazy how this game is, despite its launch, is powering through.
Weapons platform active.
Intruders will be terminated.
Never trust a scientist.
Oh, it's a raid. That's kind of cool that they're adding a raid into the Fallout 76. I've got to give the team credit. They really are trying to do a great job with Fallout 76.
People start dying. Intruders! Attack! Shield generators online.
I don't know, this looks really cool.
Scientific advancement demands sacrifice. I regret nothing.
Kind of cool for those of you that have Fallout 76 and want to enjoy it. It is now there for you.
What next?
Sanchez, I am really tempted to pick it up. I know I shouldn't, and I'm going to try and resist, but I kind of really want to because I'm an indie fan. Not another cat. I know, Bags. But then I'm going to have to stay off social media for like 3 whole days and do nothing with any internet thing because everyone is going to spoil the game for me. And sadly, I didn't get a review code, so I can't even review it, which is sad, but it is what it is. Microsoft still chooses to ignore me. Sony, on the other hand, are really nice to me. But Microsoft still chooses to ignore me. Bags, they give me nothing. It's weird. I insult Sony like there's no tomorrow, and they come and go, "Hey, buddy, do you want a review code?" And I'm like, "Sure." Microsoft, on the other hand, say, "You schlag," and move on. I know, Force. I know. But I ain't gonna shill like that for any company. Unless it's Yoko Taro and Neo Automata, then all bets are off. But outside of that, I'm just gonna always be me and be my honest self. It does, Harry. It's paid by PlayStation. Ha! Right. Even Capcom responded to me, right? And said, look, we only give review codes out to people with 30,000 subscribers minimum, and then they gave me some other metrics to reply. At least they responded. I've had Bandai Namco basically respond to me and say they'll review my case on a case-by-case basis, and they've supplied me with a few. Microsoft just outright ignores me. I've sent emails to their PR team, to their individuals who actually deal with this within the department, which I'm not gonna say the name, but I've made direct communication as well. They just ignore me. They just give me the middle finger and say, "Screw, we're not even going to entertain responding to you." John, I would at least. I mean, if they turn around and say, "We don't want to give you a review code because you stink or because you don't shill for us enough," or anything like that, I would take that over the silence. Oh, Harry, don't be saying that. Jeffy said that and he's in shit. You don't want to go down that road, buddy. But we do have a happy ending. No, not that sort of happy ending. Get your mind out of the gutter. But we do have a happy ending for the Visions of Mana director Ryusuke Yoshida, who, after finishing Visions of Mana, was told on the day of release of the game that the whole studio was being laid off, except for him. Well, apparently Ryusuke Yoshida has now left NetEase and has joined Square Enix. So that's probably a much nicer place for him, and hopefully he will be able to work on more Visions of Mana because he really enjoyed working on that project. And, he was very happy with the reception that the community gave. That's the spirit, Harry. That's the spirit. That's what we like to see. But yeah, I was actually really happy with this outcome. You know, I was really sad when I heard that the whole studio, on the release day of the game, were told your whole studio is shutting down, effective immediately. That's harsh, man. But, you know, happy endings and all, so why the fudge is my gain going down constantly? Maybe because I'm raising my voice or something. But now we come to the part where we talk about the PS5 Pro. We've got a few clips here, a number of things, but let's go for it because I wanted to leave this to last because this part is probably the most weirdest part out of all of this. But Silent Hill 2 on the PS5 Pro is finally fixed. You know, there was lots of problems with it, with the shimmering, with the, you know, glitching and everything, almost like artifacting on the game. They have fixed it by removing the PESA requirement on performance mode. They just went in and disabled it and said, you know what? This shit ain't it. Goodbye. It's like... Welcome back, Paul. And then it gets worse. Digital Foundry are walking back almost all their statements regarding the PS5 Pro, and they actually are now. Like I've been saying since specs revealed, PS5 Pro compute units are derived from old PS5 RDNA and not RDNA 3 or 4. It would be a huge workload improvement, and just listen to what they have to say.
Game-changing upgrade for a Pro console, but then I guess you'd be looking at things which we suspect it holds back the PlayStation 5 Pro to a certain extent, where, you know, the shader code would be completely different,
right?
Which is probably why we've got a 16.7 teraflop GPU that's likely sort of existing RDNA rather than brand spanking new RDNA.
So by existing RDNA, they're talking basically the same RDNA that's on the PS5 base console, which is essentially RDNA 2 but with missing features. So all this talk about them being on RDNA 3 and RDNA 4, Digital Foundry is basically saying here, nah, that's not it. They're not on there. And the 16 T-flops is pretty much a clear indication of that.
That's unconfirmed, but I suspect that would be the main reason that would hold back a PlayStation 3 Pro from just using a much better GPU. So they'd have to actually use the same older technology.
Did you hear that? So even he makes mistakes. So don't come at me, Steve. You can go clip him as well. Listen to what he said.
GPU, so they'd have to actually use the same... Would be the main reason that would hold back a PlayStation 3 Pro from just using...
See? PlayStation 3 Pro. I ain't the only one that makes mistakes. See? See? I was talking about numbers and percentages and millions. I could easily get mixed up. My dude got mixed up between the PS5 and the PS3.
Using a much better GPU, so they'd have to actually use the same older technology, and that probably isn't great either.
The shader code would be completely different,
right?
Which is probably why we've got a 16.7 teraflop GPU.
And this is the one they're talking about, Black Myth Wukong with the 30 FPS. This one, so I don't know if any of you have used like a, you know, the 3 or 4 series. I know some of you in chat must have, with frame generation, but there is clear latency when you enable frame gen, where it adds in artificial frames. Not DLSS, but actual frame reconstruction, frame generation. And that's what essentially the PS5 tries to do. And it creates, a lot of latency. And, you'll see that on PC as well. Frame generation is just rubbish. You shouldn't use it. It's bad. I know it can knock you up to your desired frame rate, but it just doesn't perform the way it's supposed to.
Give it extra GPU power, and generally you get a better experience. So, but I just can't help but think that maybe this is something that's going to happen further on down the road. Seemingly they've got an Xbox version coming out at some point, which is possibly a higher priority, you'd think.
I mean, is anyone on Xbox going to buy this? Does anyone even care at this point about Black Myth Wukong? Like, isn't the hype come and gone and no one cares? Like, at this point, is anyone even in chat actually interested in Black Myth Wukong? Like, this is a genuine question. I'm going to do another poll. But it looks like everyone wants it on YouTube, so I hope you all turn up. Alright, there's the poll.
I don't know, John, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, those decisions are weird for sure, and I think they could improve it on the Pro. But like, I was surprised at how not sensitive people are to this. I commented that I was surprised to see people that played it on PS5 think so highly of it due to some of these issues. People were like, "What problems? Perfect, best game ever. Runs like a dream." I was like, "Well, frame generating from 30 to 60." Like, you can feel it. It's extremely laggy. Like, it feels perfect to me. I'm like, so like at this point, I'm like, I don't even know what to say. Like, people are.
He's basically saying that PlayStation gamers are bottom of the barrel when it comes to intelligence. I mean, his whole expression here says it all.
I was surprised to see people that played it on PS5 think so highly of it due to some of these issues. People were like, "What problems? Perfect.
I've not seen it yet, Paul.
Best game ever. Runs like a dream." I was like, "Well, frame generating from 30 to 60, like, you can feel it. It's extremely laggy. Like, it feels perfect to me." I'm like, so like at this point, I'm like, I don't even know what to say. Like, people are very unsensitive to input lag more than I expected, and when you see those responses, you can see why a developer might just do it.
I mean, that's the worst part, right? Just listen to this last bit. Because people are willing to accept that frame frame generation, developers are going to get lazy and just use it, because if you're saying there's no problem, it's an easy way for them to just fix something without actually fixing it and putting any effort in.
I don't even know what to say. Like, people are very unsensitive to input lag more than I expected, and when you see those responses, you can see why a developer might just do it.
It's bad. It's bad. Couldn't tell the difference. But yeah, it's crazy. And Digital Foundry are really going after the PS5 Pro. Now, one thing I've noticed with the PS5 Pro's pisser, AI, I said this in my video that I released yesterday. If the base resolution is high, then you'll find that pisser actually works better. But if it's starting from sub 1080p, it doesn't handle it well at all. In fact, FSR 3 just in a lot of cases looks better because it just doesn't work well with sub 1080p resolutions being upscaled. I mean, the whole notion that the PS5 Pro is a beta test for the PS6, if it even exists, it's starting to sound more and more true. I mean, just check this out.
Now, I loaded up the patch yesterday, and the first thing I noticed was basically this. So you're sort of panning around on, this is literally entering a save point that I had. You sort of pan around, and there were issues. Alex, what did you make of what I've shared with you so far? It's not good, is it?
No, it is not good. And
I mean, the PS5 Pro has now become a laughing stock. You know, I'm just not used to these guys mocking PlayStation, but they are really going to town with the PS5. Clearly, they're not happy with what they were promised.
it follows the exact same kind of pattern that we saw with a number of other games that got PS5 Pro patches, where I wonder, like, after the patch was implemented, how many eyes just looked at this subjectively and said, this is worth it. And you know,
the sort of flickering shadows, and there's something really odd going on there. And obviously the foliage side of things, the shimmer on foliage, which does seem to be a PSSR issue at this point.
It is, yeah. Which I think is related to the fact that the foliage there is lit via their GI. So like indirect lighting, specularity, as in reflections, don't seem to go really well with PSSR at these presumably lower internal resolutions, especially in these titles from Massive for some whatever reason. And my goodness, it's just not good looking.
Performance. Let's talk about that. I did do some quick frame rate tests. We've got this lovely segment in the game that Tom.
I mean, that's just bad, right? You're talking about the base PS5 versus the Pro. And this is what I was saying when I said, you know, the CPU between them is identical. And so all you're seeing here is the upscaler lowering the resolution a bit to try and get you a bit more frames. So you're actually getting a worse picture. I mean, how much lower from 720p are we going to go? 640p? 540? 480? Are we going back to CRT TVs? 640 by 480. Let's go.
Isolated in the original Avatar review, and we've got lots of atmospherics going on, lots of windy effects and debris flying around. It's a really good stress test, and you would get consistent drops in performance using this particular stress test area. And so we can kind of assume that we're hitting minimum resolution here, which is 720p. The Pro is faster, but it still drops frames under 60. Generally, it is a more consistent experience. It does run faster in its performance mode, but it's not 60 frames per second locked.
I mean, it even ends at being higher. But this is what I was talking about, right? So this is the one with Wukong. And so D turns around and says, what do you think is going to happen with the Series X? Like, what does this conversation have anything to do with an Xbox? Like, I don't understand. What has it got anything to do with an Xbox? This conversation has nothing to do with it. But the way D is now damage controlling this, you know, he keeps saying it's the same energy, but the way he's damage controlling this is, as long as it's better than a product that is half the value of my console, that's okay. And remember at the start of the stream, I was trolling when I said, as long as it's better than a Commodore 64 or something like that, an Amstrad, an Atari ST, you know, for those old enough to know what those are, it's okay. I mean, that's essentially what D is saying here. They've basically paid £700 for a product that is not performing. It's underperforming. Sure, there are some games that show great, rewards, like Stellar Blade. It looks, the performance, the graphical fidelity improvement on there is really nice because it's not CPU blocked and it's of a higher resolution at the base. But if a game already has a low resolution, like Star Wars Jedi, Avatar, and a few others, it suffers immensely. And they are still trying to defend it by saying, well, it's better than Xbox. My dude, it's double the price. If it wasn't better than Xbox, I would be worried. That's like saying, as I said, if you pay all that money for a 4090, you expect it to be better than the PS5 Pro. If it's not, you'd be worried and you'd be pissed because you've just paid all that money for a 4090 and it's been outperformed by an £800 console. Like, where is the logic in this? Like, he openly knows that this, the machine is not performing. And all of this talk about, I show the same energy, I show the same... No, he doesn't. He literally does not. And I said the same thing here. Didn't get any response because he knows what I'm saying here is true. So what you're saying is you are happy that you have something underperforming because it's better than a Super Nintendo. Xbox in this context could be replaced by a Commodore 64, and the statement made by OP stands true, as it has nothing to do with any other consoles but the PS5 Pro underperforming and the latency from frame gen being bad. This is you damage controlling, dude. What happened to that same energy? Completely ignored. And obviously Gaz later started trolling him as well. But like the damage control now, literally I've seen it from about 3 or 4 of them. It's better than your Xbox. Well, it's double the price. It should be better than my Xbox. Like, come on. Everyone can't... I mean, if you're paying double the price for your hardware, you expect it to be better, right? I can't be the only one that thinks that's logical. Hey, Devastator. Nice to have you here. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, I want it to make sense, and it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, you've got even Eurogamer now jumping in on this. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is another PS5 Pro patch that arguably looks worse than the standard PS5 version. What's going on? And here's the thing, right? When they're releasing these patches, they're removing the PS5 version from the configuration. Why? Why are you removing the PS5 version? If you can see that loads of people are having problems, why not just have base PS5 as a configuration that disables PSSR and everything? I know it kind of sucks. I mean, I've got a Pro myself. Right? I think the only game I've been playing on it is Stellar Blade. Like I said, that game looks good. I finished it now, thankfully. That's another game off my list for this year. But, if I paid £700 for that console, $800 with a drive, I genuinely would be royally pissed. Because my kid, who has my old PS5, no, I didn't sell it to him, I gave it to him, he actually plays games looking better than my PS5 Pro. The only reason I'm not annoyed is because I only paid $100 for it. And at that point, I don't think I can get annoyed. Because eventually, one day, it should start to look better. But it's so weird that they're trying to justify it by saying, well, you can wait. And it's not a hardware problem. It's a developer problem. But when it was the Series S doing the same thing, underperforming, it's not a developer problem. It's a hardware problem. No, both of them are a hardware problem. But that goalpost moves so quickly with these guys. It's insane how quickly that goalpost moves. It's crazy. Look at it. PSSR is worse than DLSS 2.0 from 4 years ago and worse than FSR2 even in this low resolution game. This is ridiculous. So for Avatar 2, FSR2 actually outperforms PSSR. I did not steal my PS5 Pro. Even though people will like to say I stole it, I did not. You know what, Devin? I can accept that. As long as I didn't steal it and I have no knowledge of it, then that's okay. Wait, is the cat crying? Oh, you wanted to go in there? Hey, there was the PS5 Pro's a scam and they're angry that they were dumb enough to fall for it. And their outrage is hilarious. Forget the outrage. It's the damage control. Instead of turning around and wanting to hold Sony accountable for this, they paid a lot of money for this hardware. Instead of holding them accountable, they're turning around and saying, please, sir, can I have some more bad games? So thank you very much for that 5 Canadian.
Devastate or 2,000 tipped 5 Canadian dollars through Super Chat. PS5 Pro is a scam and they're angry that they were dumb enough to fall for it and their outrage is hilarious.
No, I gave it to my son. And even that, I was like, hey, do you want the PS5? And he goes, why? I said, well, you might want to play some day and date exclusives. Like what? I said, they might release another God of War. Yeah, but when it comes to PC, I said, like, yeah, in a year, maybe. I'll think about it. And I'm like, dude, if you don't come and pick it up and put it in your room, I'm going to sell it to Computer Exchange. And he came down and took it. It's upstairs in his room, not even plugged in. See, secondary protocol knows exactly how I roll. Just like I stole 2B's heart. But it does run better. What you're not understanding, Bags, it still runs better. It may still run like crap, but it runs better. And that's what that's a, that's not a made up thing. It's a CPU intensive bottlenecked game. And the Series X has better CPU. It's going to run better. Wait, what did I do? Shinzo? Should have done a Dreamcast and sent it to his love. No, I would not do that. I didn't even do that with my PS4 Pro. I gave it away. Stop it, secondary protocol. Like, if you ask me right now, is the PS5 Pro worth it? No, it is not. Wait for a sale. Or wait at least 3-4 months, 5 months, 6 months until it starts to mature and get better. But right now, it's not worth it. The Pro patches just aren't working fundamentally. I mean, even the whole Spider-Man can't be done on a standard, on a slow NVMe. Like, they've literally torn PlayStation apart. And I really don't understand why.
And the requirement for a drive on PlayStation 5 is that you have basically 5.5 gigabytes per second of sequential read bandwidth. This only has 3.2 gigabytes per second.
And so games that don't have the speed, it's supposed to run... Well, it's just not supposed to run in general. It's not supposed to work. Hence why you can't use a hard drive, right? With your older games. Xbox does this as well, by the way. You can't run the series games on a hard drive, only the older games. But Sony's one that says it needs to use the super special SSD is not even it. I mean, I don't know what Sony did to Digital Foundry, but they must have hurt them bad. Must have did some like chargeback or something on some credit or on some payment, because they're out.
58% of the required transfer rate. But we can actually make this drive even worse by basically taping up. Honestly, this sounds ridiculous, but it works. You could just tape up the pins on the drive and give it basically PCI Express 1x bandwidth rather than 4x bandwidth. When you format the drive, it does work, and you get a warning from the PlayStation 5 basically saying that, I think it's like you get something like 1.7 gigabytes per second of bandwidth, or 1.8, something like that. But it basically warns you that it's not fit for purpose. But Marvel Spider-Man plays fine. Marvel Spider-Man 2, rather. I've got here some comparisons of loading the game, a new game. Yes, it's slower. You can obviously see the difference there. It's a slower drive. And I guess a load from scratch is going to be sequential, heavy on sequential reads, which this thing just doesn't really have anymore. But surprisingly, all the traversal stuff just works, even on this really slow drive. And John, I think there's a bit of a discussion here to say when we're talking about the power of the SSD, which is kind of like the meme, isn't it? There's actually much more to the SSD.
I mean, they even picked a perfect picture of Mark Cerny. I mean, they could have used any picture whatsoever, but they've decided to go with this one. I mean, did something happen between their relationship?
Much more to the SSD and the whole I/O subsystem than simply how fast it can load in X amount of gigabytes per second.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what they mean when they talk about it as well. It's like there's the decompression block, obviously, which is a huge deal. CPU side of things as well, obviously the drive itself. But then another really important thing that Mike brought up in that interview we did on Spider-Man is that the game engine itself needs to be efficient in terms of how it handles its data and accepts all that data in, right? Like, just because you can fetch a lot of data quickly doesn't mean that you can just automatically take advantage of that, right?
So even Spider-Man 2 just works on a really slow SSD. I don't know. They literally just... I don't know. It's just weird. They really went for it. But here's like examples of the PSSR actually looking worse. So this is the Pro in performance mode, and you can see... I mean, you can see just from the graphs. I mean... This isn't altered imagery. This is, actual imagery from the game. You can see that the base PS5 in performance mode just handles it a lot better than the PS5 Pro. And I'm genuinely surprised that people aren't complaining about this. And they should be complaining about this. You paid a lot of money for this. I mean, look at obviously this is just zoomed in stuff, but it's not great in terms of picture quality. It just gets worse. It's just rough, man. It's rough. I think this one is like the perfect one to show. This talks about the native 4K and the 8K.
PSSR produces good results, but the results I would say are worse than the default 4K TAA used in the original game. There are a few minor issues to mention. Firstly, thin objects can exhibit additional shimmering and noise, which is always distracting. And furthermore, specific scenarios can cause visual artifacts, such as here using this beautiful Supra.
Do you see it?
With RT engaged, specific scenario.
Look at the lights here compared to the lights here. These are stable without any issues. With PSSR enabled, just look at the lights.
Can cause visual artifacts, such as here using this beautiful Supra. With RT engaged plus PSSR, take a look at the taillights. PSSR cannot quite resolve this properly, and you end up with noisy, flickery results in this area of the image. Not great, is it? But pixel count suggests that we're looking at a native 4K here, which then uses PSSR to upscale all the way to 8K. So yeah, the PS5 Pro is not doing native 8K 60 in Gran Turismo 7. Essentially, I created a replay featuring a grid of cars in the rain. It's a very heavy scene, which is just enough to tip over the frame rate bucket, but only with specific settings. You see, if you enable ray tracing but disable PSSR, which runs the game at 4K, I was able to drop the frame rate here on this track, just like this. So in this case, using PSSR actually produces faster performance overall. The 8K mode, however, struggles to lock to 60 in this rainy race, even when using gameplay views. You can see here that it dips into the 50s both using the chase and cockpit views, but the rainy track once again brings the boom, dropping the frame rate significantly, and also revealing a gulf in performance between PSSR and native 4K, specifically when using ray tracing. As you can see, PSSR runs the game on average 10 to 15 frames per second faster. The 8K mode runs the game similarly to the native 4K mode. Given the cost of PSSR and the base resolution from which it's sampling, I'm surprised it's not lower. Well, this one's not too bad in gameplay angles, but the replays reveal interesting results. Notice something? In this instance, the native resolution side runs the game faster than PSSR. What this says to me is that without ray tracing enabled, the bottleneck shifts to PSSR.
It's crazy the fact that the base PS5 is running better with ray tracing off. It's crazy. It's crazy. Hey, Infinite, what am I wrong about? What am I wrong about, Infinite, if you are referring to me? What am I actually wrong about? But I was expecting, them to turn around. The bottleneck on the Pro? The PS5 is bottlenecked. That's not really a made-up thing. Oh, sorry. You're the third person to use sarcasm on me today in text form, and I missed it in all three of them. Why is this happening? Optimization. It's happening for a number of reasons. The first one, the AI just isn't mature enough. It's still learning. It's at its infancy. so it will improve over time. Secondly, it doesn't. It needs to kind of lock. Sony has to implement a lock with PSSR at a higher threshold. What's happening is, it allows the resolution to drop to 720, and that's nasty. And then it's trying to take that 720 image and upscale it to 4K, and that's going to provide you with artifacting, because it still needs to fill in those gaps with, frames, to make it seamless. But what it's at the baseline, it's dropping the resolution too much. The tech isn't mature enough to be able to know, and as it functions very similar to FSSR, with DLSS, it's tailored for each game, and that's why it works so well. That's why Nvidia's works really well. With FSR, it's kind of a one shoe fits all, and PSSR is basically the same thing, a one shoe fits all. But that's going to take a number of years before it actually gets to where it needs to get to. And the point I was making to D was, why don't they charge me half price now for the console and take the other half later when it's actually a full complete machine? So some games that have a higher base resolution, like The Last of Us, like Stellar Blade, they're going to actually look better. If you look at the base resolution of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in quality mode, that can run at 60 FPS because it's not CPU intensive, it's more GPU, and there's a bit more headroom on the PS5. So the upscaling actually works better there. So there are a few examples where it actually works so much better. But ultimately, if there's any form of CPU bottlenecking, or if the resolution has to drop sub 1080p, it's going to suffer, and there's not really much the devs can do there. It's just the AI tech itself just has to, adapt and learn. That's why now it's been confirmed, despite all the PlayStation fans saying 8K looks the best, 8K Gran Turismo 7 actually looks worse than 4K. You are, if you went and bought an 8K TV just so you can play Gran Turismo 7 at 8K, you are actively getting a worse picture quality at 8K than you would with 4K. And it's due to a number of things. The majority of the blame is on the hardware. The devs can optimize it to a certain degree, but it's the hardware. It's, it goes back to the whole PlayStation fans now are beta testers for PS6. And that's just it. £600, I think, would have been a reasonable upgrade, but even then, you're paying for something that at the moment is providing you with a worse output. No matter how much you want to price it at, if it's giving you a worse output, you're paying more for less. Take it easy, Steve. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. Exactly, Ventura. But the problem is, from 4K to 8K, it's 4 times the resolution, right? So that's 4 times more real estate it needs to fill in. And if it can't hit that, if it starts to struggle to hit that 60 FPS, it starts to introduce frame generation. And the moment you do frame gen, you're getting even worse latency. So I don't know. Overall, it just feels like the tech isn't ready yet. Hey, look, Raichi, Puddlegate is officially confirmed over. So yes, you are correct. I think so, Fantas Archer. I think so. I think they needed to just, let the AI evolve a little. But instead, what they've done is they've kind of pushed it out to the market and said, right, you teach the AI, not us, so we can save some money. Instead of them doing the job, they've basically passed it on to the consumers to gather that data for them. Astrobot won't win Game of the Year. Everyone knows Elden Ring is going to win Game of the Year. That's the only reason it was ever included. Have a good night, Frank. So someone said that there was a video regarding DCG getting pissed off at PlayStation. Really pissed off. So many people are actually leaving X to go to Blue Sky. It's crazy. But you know what? Having used Blue Sky for a little while, at least you don't have the bullshit over there. You don't have the trolls, at least yet, anyway. And it just feels, overall, just a nicer place to be able to talk with people who like games. It's 4 hours ago. I don't like threads. I tried it out. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. So right now I just cross post on both. Copy and paste and post. Yeah, I'll leave this downgrade video for Thursday. Give us something to watch. It's only been out for 4 hours and I want it to at least be a day before I watch it. Even though he's actually cussing the PS5. I just don't feel right. Try to relax. I'm sure Elon has a hand in that, spreading bad news. Spreading bad faith news on there. Right. It is something that he would do. It could be very well true, but at this point, until there's official proof, it's all I would chalk it down to Elon Musk basically not wanting people to leave X, so he's pushing the SEO for that. Just like he manipulated the petition for the UK re-election. He got his bots to basically get the petition signed to over 2 million in record time. And it has been discovered that Elon tampered with the petition in order to get it to do that. But that said, you've got pedophiles over here too. Right? They're everywhere. They're sick people, but they're everywhere. Are you going to leave X? You've got, people like Dr. Disrespect still here. On X. Are you going to leave X? Good to see Microsoft has officially accused Lena Khan's FTC of leaking its antitrust investigation to the press. That's cool. Microsoft has lodged an official accusation now. It's going to be interesting to see how the FTC actually responds to this. Storm's an idiot. Gorsty, did I add you over there? If I haven't, look for the Chaos Lounge. And you'll find me there. But yeah. Lena Khan's FTC is going to be screwed. Screwed. Actually quite funny. They wanted to go out with a bang. They're going out with the bang they wanted. I mean, here's more PSSR stuff that's just coming out. I mean, it's everywhere at the moment.
Creating artifacts in a way, and it's not a great always upgrade that you'd expect. And I think this is an issue of options as well as a bit of managerial oversight to say that this is like the way you should do a patch. It shouldn't look worse in some aspect is the main thing. But the thing is, if it does happen to look worse for some reason, there should still be the choice for the user to run maybe the old modes from base PS5, which I think is now the new sentiment out there. And John showed it off really well in the GT7 video, where PSSR there wasn't like a straight win, right? So, and it had its own issues. Nope. So being able to turn it off and run different modes, maybe even legacy modes, is I think the way forward until PSSR gets better. And I think I don't know who's responsible for that. It's probably the people who make the game, but it's a pretty different situation to when DLSS came out, because you can always turn off DLSS. You can always turn off FSR, right? And run native if you wish. But here the user doesn't get that choice.
And that's the biggest option, right? That's the biggest problem. You don't get that choice, so if it's balked, you're kind of stuck with it until the developers disable it. You should get the option to enable or disable PSSR. Heatwave, to answer your question, some people bought it on PC, and others no longer care for the game because the hype is over. I think the second point is the most prevalent in why people won't buy Black Myth Wukong, because there's just no interest there. There's no more hype. There's no more desire to play it while everyone is talking about it. Right? It was kind of another breakout hit. And if you got to play it at the time, great. If you didn't, and you're trying, it's coming out like a year later, no one cares. Like, I've got zero interest in that genre anyway. I bought it on PC for my kid, but he's played it, he's beat it, and he said it was an average game, and he moves on. That's it. There's literally no desire to buy it on Xbox. You snooze, you lose. If you wait too long, that's it. And this is the same thing with like Square Enix games coming on PC a year later. Most people have either played it if they wanted to play it desperately, or the hype is gone and they've just got no interest, especially at a full price. Right? They're releasing it a year later at full price. Ain't no one got time for that. But that's why. I hope this answered your question. Oh god, the new Jaguar is horrible. Like, whoever designed that should just... No. No. No, 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 no. No. But you know what? I will end with one more Sony fail in this regard. So Sony has released these really cool themes, right? And they're really cool. They look really nice. Having that iconic PS1 boot up sequence on my PS5 Pro is really nice. It brought back a lot of memories, and that chime is just iconic. But they did that for PS2, 3, 4 as well. And then they've got the 30th anniversary edition. But why make it temporary? Why do something good for your community that they like, and then turn around and say, but you can only have it for 2 weeks or whatever it is? The next firmware update is going to remove it. Like, why would you even do that? Why? Why would you even do that? Why not leave them there permanently? Do I have a Cybertruck? No, I have a Ford Galaxy. If you know what that is. They will monetize the theme? I fully expect that, iDark. I fully expect that. I mean, Infinite, yeah. I got a Chevy? No. It's an MPV. Dude, I've got 5 kids. I need a car with 7 seats. Even though 4 of them live with me here, the 5th is in Cyprus. I need a big car to be able to carry everyone. Saturn Startup was beautiful. Saturn and the Dreamcast are probably my 2 favorite consoles. I mean, I'm not saying that it's definitely not going to sell, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if it had a chance, if it released day and date and say it could have sold 1 million copies, I suspect now it will probably sell somewhere in the region of about 300,000 copies. It's going to impact the sales. It's that simple. If you don't release day and date, it's bad. Hey, look, this is why, I got a full-time job and I do this to try and make some hustle. Try and, make some of that money. Just to pay for petrol and shit. Halo actually did that as well, Ventura. Halo Master Chief Collection. I didn't have the VCD card, but I did have the RAM cartridge that allowed me to play games like Street Fighter vs. X-Men, Arcade Perfect, and Marvel Superheroes and stuff like that. The Capcom games that utilize the 4MB cartridge, I do have that, and it makes the world of difference. It basically makes the games arcade perfect. It was really cool. I did not steal the PS5 Pro. This is a running meme. As long as this is a meme. I've actually played a good number of games this year. I'm actually quite surprised with how many I managed to complete. Let me see. I actually have a list. Needs editing a little bit, but finished Hellblade, Destiny 2's Final Shape, still Wakes the Deep, still up to date with Tower Fantasy, finished the Final Fantasy 14 expansion, Astrobot, Final Fantasy 16 base, DLC 1, DLC 2, finished the Starfield DLC, finished Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, finished Life is Strange. There's a couple of other games that I finished. Cocoon, I believe I finished. Let's see, was there anything else? Starfield I'm still playing. Genshin Impact I'm up to date with the latest stuff. And I'm playing through the retro games. So I completed more this year than I did last year, so that's a bonus. Remember to vote Elden Ring for Game of the Year, everyone. Thank you for that $2 super chat. I'm sadly not going to reach my goal this year.
Devin Brooking tipped $2 through Super Chat. Remember to vote for Elden Ring for Giddy everyone.
Yeah, I had that. Panzer Dragoon was great as well. Panzer Dragoon Saga was one of my favorite RPGs of all time. They should really remake that. But it's a shame they didn't. Yeah, Devin, thank you very much for that $2 super chat. But yeah. Visions of Mana, there's a bunch of games that I've started, I just haven't finished. Like Visions of Mana, I've started. Stalker 2. God of War Ragnarok. I finished Stellar Blade as well. So there's a bunch of games that I've played that I haven't finished. I think I voted for ReFantasia. There is no Stellar Cheeks in Game of the Year. Although I really did enjoy Stellar Cheeks. And I totally get that, Susano, with the goal. I aimed for 10,000 subs this year. I did not meet that goal. Too cheeky? Nah. The sound was just a great machine. Still time? No way. No way, John. I'm losing subs instead of gaining them based on my analytics. I'm on a downward spiral. Well, this week I'm hoping to have the monitor I'm using here, a review out. Hopefully this week. It should be all signed off, so I can get that done this week. I'm also hoping to have a review out for Life is Strange Double Exposure. And then if I can gain... when I play Indiana Jones, I'll do a review on that. I'm going to try and do more reviews on this channel and see how that works, see if there's people interested in that sort of content. I really do like writing reviews and, doing reviews. So I've done a few already on this channel. They've not done overly well, but they have been improving in numbers. So, maybe you guys will enjoy those, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I do want to do like hardware reviews and, game reviews as well. Paul? Nah, I don't remember that, dude. That was way far back. The mods on Stellar Cheeks on PC are going to be insane. But yeah, 2,800 subs is, for this year, is a pipe dream. But that's what goals are for. You strive and you hope to get there. But folks, that is going to be it for me today. I hope you've enjoyed the stream and you've, had fun. We've had some good discussions today. I've personally had a lot of fun. We'll check out that Dreamcast video on Thursday. I may be streaming tomorrow over at Twitch. If I am, it's definitely going to be Life is Strange, where I'm just playing through. I might start earlier than usual for my stream and try and get a little bit of a dent into the game. But yeah, that's it for me for tonight. Thanks so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for the super chats. It really helps. And I will see you all next time, if not on Wednesday over at Twitch. I will definitely see you over on YouTube on Thursday. And what did the last poll actually say? Will you buy Black Myth Wukong? 62% said no. That's a lot. And that makes sense, because the hype is gone, the game is gone, it's dead. But yeah, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. I'm not asking you to pay money, but if you do enjoy the content, again, this is, I try to be as kind of balanced as possible, be it on Xbox or Sony. So hopefully that comes through. But I will see you all next time. Stay safe and remain legend, folks. Have a good night. Anytime Infinite, always. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Oh, Season 2 of the First Descendant drops. Also, if you log in now, there's like a freebie that you can collect. So that is cool as well. Go collect it. Peace. And clearly Dustborn is going to